Episode 126, Joel Fleischman Happy Hour Podcast. We have the Truss guys. We have Ross Harter, head coach in Wrightstown, and currently obviously overseeing Amherst with insight there. And then Steve Szymanski, who is the component training and field specialist here at Drexel Building Supply. Gentlemen, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was telling Joel actually earlier today, I said, I think I've seen Steve a handful of times, but actually never interacted with him in 4 years, one of the few here. So looking forward to sitting down, kind of gaining some insights and knowledge on what you guys have kind of going on in the truss world. So I guess just kind of peeling back the layers here, why don't you guys just kind of give a brief overview of what you're doing prior to Drexel. So obviously, Steve, there was the acquisition, we were talking just before air, late 2018 with Truss Systems, and Ross, it sounds like 2019, but you want to just kind of give an overview, you guys, of what you were doing prior to coming to Drexel.
I guess I'm older, so I can start. Is that right?
A few years.
So this coming June is going to mark year number 39 for me in kind of in this industry. So started in 1987. Had a 2-year associate degree from NWTI. Right now it's called NWTC for you folks that maybe don't know that.
I didn't know there was a name change. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So my background is
That's how old he is.
Yeah, I'm that old. Thanks for reminding me. Started out residential design for a company called Stock Lumber, Casey Stock, Steve Stock, and those guys kind of hired me right out of tech school. Did about 2 years or 2.5 years maybe of residential design, and they moved me into the truss facility up in Green Bay pretty quickly. When many of you have heard me talk or give my little spiel, if I'm giving a demonstration or some kind of class, I still don't feel that old, but I guess I am older, as Ross says, because I started doing design when we were on a drafting table doing layouts by hand.
Sure.
Computers were just coming online, so I always joked if I don't have the patience to be a teacher, but I could probably go back and teach a trigonometry or geometry class because you had to do that by hand.
Yeah.
Where you just, you weren't dependent on a computer to tell you what's going on. So did that, worked for Casey till he kind of sold out to a company, I think it was I'm trying to do the math here, probably late 90s, 97, 98. He had experienced a lot of growth as well at Stock Lumber. I think it was employee number 72 for him.
Okay.
And there was only 4 locations, and they quickly blossomed into I believe they had 10 locations and then actually 2 truss plants. So, but then after they sold, things really changed. You had big corporate. So there was a lot of issues, and some of us knew there was a better way of doing it. So we started our own gig, Truss Systems, from scratch, 1999. And we did that up until Joel kind of contacted me from here a few times, and finally sat down and said yes, I'd have a cup of coffee with them. And it was, those are hard decisions, making that call. But big picture, I knew there was a lot of synergy in where this could possibly go. And I don't know if I was equipped or we were equipped to really take it to the next level. We were very good. We had a great group of employees. We were very successful. We made it through the 2008-2009 downturn. That wasn't all easy, but I kind of figured it has turned out for both Drexel and for us. When looking back, it was a very good decision, and I think it's been beneficial for both of us. And again, I think there's a lot of things that we brought to obviously Drexel and where this is going. And again, I think Ross can kind of lead to that now. Is where were we, the size of the volume, and now what they're doing and where it's going. And it's great to be a part of. Again, one thing Joel's not here, but I always say this. He's kind of a visionary. And when I talk to other people and I say, hey, listen, Drexel's trying to do things right. They're trying to be a leader. They're not a follower. And that's kind of fun to be a part of. So I'm glad I'm on the back 9 of my, I don't know how many extra holes I got to think about being here, but it's going to be, I'm glad to be a part of it. I think I'm adding some stuff. We got some exciting stuff that through my experiences, developments, what we're doing. And we'll talk about that, I think, a little bit. That's pretty exciting stuff.
I guess going back, what was the interest in res design?
Good question. I'm not 100% so long ago. I can't remember. I don't know. I kind of like the construction. My brothers kind of worked construction a little bit. I was the youngest of I got 4 siblings.
Okay.
I'm not sure how I really would trip that trigger, but
yeah, you gotta get started somewhere though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go into my spiel. very similar path to Steve actually. And again, I been in the industry probably 25 years, or coming up. It is 25 years. Started out again, went to NWTC, so same school. Name change happened. Exact same program. Exact same.
I did not know that.
Again, got into res design, and I guess just to even answer that question, I think that's what we had to do. From where we're at today, and what's offered and what's available to even what was back then, that was kind of our only path. Like there was no offsite construction was again kind of infancy, if it was even happening, or it was the modular two chunks of house going down the side of the road. There was no advanced construction. You were either a framer or you went and did this. And I think once we got in there, I realized what that course offered. There was a lot of branches off that you could pretty much do kind of whenever you wanted.
Sure.
Same thing, same background. After got out of there, I went over to Wausau Homes. Knew the guy that was running the place. Got to know Marv Chute and the Chute family that owned that. That's where they were really the pioneers in getting offsite off the ground, like 20 years before anybody else was even thinking about it.
Like Chris Chute?
No. Spelled the same, but yeah, no.
Different.
But yeah, I mean, what Wausau Homes was doing 30 years ago, nobody was even thinking about. They were doing a mix of both, half mods, which was half the house going down the side of the road, and then offsite construction like we know today. Floor panels, wall panels, pre-built stairs, roof and floor trusses. So that really exposed me to kind of what was available and what was out there. And once I got into that, started doing wall design there, it really kind of understood and knew. Basically, I was like designing Lego sets is really how I was equated it. You get a Lego set, you get the instructions, you get the bags. What's on the trailer is in the bag. We give them the drawings. So that's where I was like, okay, this is really what I want to do. It was kind of a hybrid between, dipping your toe in the water on the structural side and engineering, and then also had control to some degree on the architectural side, because we know how some architectural plans are drawn. What they got on paper sometimes doesn't work. So you always had to be creative in that way and give them solutions on what was going to work. Did that for a couple years at Wausau Homes, really got fully exposed to what the possibilities were, and then found out that the Hoytas were doing essentially the same thing in the Green Bay market with Jim and Don Hoyta, and moved over to Green Bay, and I worked for them, for 18 years, 20 years. And then I was there through all the legacy. So the Hoytas sold out to UBC, which became Timberwoods, which became ProBuild, which became Builders First Source.
Sure.
And again, doing a lot of the same thing. Again, went over there to do wall design, got into truss design, kind of brought the vision of the floor panel stuff over to them. We did a little bit of that. And then from there, just kind of worked my way up, and always, I guess, was in front of the right people. A lot of people there, even when I got there older, kind of that company was in a transition period, and just kind of got with the right people like Steve, right? And again, the right people like Steve that wanted to show somebody else what they knew, the right way to do it, thinking about it. There's three ways here. They're not wrong. What's the best path forward? And then just worked my way all the way up until Joel called in 2019.
So that's what I was going to ask, if it was the connection between you two, or if it was you and Joel that...
We knew each other, but not like...
Probably just through WTMA.
Names, and the Truss Manufacturers Association, but never like,
like really super tight kind of thing that way.
Yeah. I think I've seen a couple golf outings for the WTMA. I was the president, or still am the president of the Wisconsin Truss Manufacturers Association.
Oh, sure.
So we would get to see our peers and interact and see what the same problems everybody else is having and try to come up with solutions. So that's how I kind of first met Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then Joel calls and tells me he just bought a truss plant. They really don't know anything about manufacturing. Still to this day don't know how he knew me or found me.
That's what I was going to ask too, yeah.
No clue. So it's a good question for him next time. And I, everywhere I've been, it's always been a family-owned business. Whether it was, the Chute family with Wausau Homes, it was the Hoytas. When I originally went there, and then learned what everybody talks about with corporations and corporate America, and kind of steering you in to do things a certain way. So I was looking to get away from that. So talking to Joel, kind of given me his vision of what they wanted to do in manufacturing. It was one of those conversations that you hear people talk about that, yeah, you're saying all this, there's no way you're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I tell them that all the time, like, I believed you, but I didn't believe you. Like, you want to do what? And just because there's a huge financial
commitment, right?
Commitment to doing that, not just maybe putting up a traditional truss plant like we would know it today, or maybe some of our competitors have, but to go full on like we ended up doing. A lot of people talk and wish and dream that they could do that. Steve talked about that. Maybe Truss Systems next step, right? Like financially, you guys wanted to take it there. Maybe you couldn't do it. The only way to do it and maybe better the business was to sell to somebody who could partner. A lot of even single standalone truss plants at the time were starting to merge and get bought out by building suppliers to form that synergy and become vertically integrated. So again, it was a great opportunity, and I guess believed what he was selling and took the leap of faith, and here we are.
Well, I guess going to the belief for you, but then also Steve, obviously the acquisition, obviously the same conversations were happening there with Joel, like, hey, this is what we want to do, right, with this, and this is where it wants to go. I mean, what truly made you guys be like, I think this guy actually is real here? I mean, what kind of really carried over for both of you?
I could really talk to some of the conversations we had even years prior. Drexel was a customer of Truss Systems, albeit very small because he viewed us as competitors because we sold direct.
Sure.
And he had shared the volume that they were buying from probably 4 other truss plants: Richco, Automated, Accurate, and whatever. And I said, Joel, you need your own truss plant. I told him that. And obviously he knew that. He did. I think he had some due diligence, and I think he checked into it. And I think I wish he was here, but his whole thing was, I can do this. It's going to cost me $7, $8, $9 million, but we still need people. And again, we did have a very good reputation. We had, and maybe I'm not the smartest, but we had very good people. I mean, great people. A lot of them are still now at Drexel today. Even people in the line, production. These guys are great folks.
Yep.
So he never really shared that, hey, let's go into robotics. I just said, hey, yeah, you do your own truss plant. He said, you know what, you got the people, you got the reputation. That's why, I've looked at this. So he wasn't going to take no for an answer. We didn't really want to do anything like this. But again, big picture, it's worked out, and now he's taking it to the next step, obviously, with Ross and what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know that there was one thing. I mean, I just literally had to believe him. And I think he knew, coming from where I came from and what I've seen, just both Wausau Homes and at BFS at the time, like, we knew what we needed to do to get ahead, just even in our market. Like, what do we need to do? How do we need to do it? And then obviously I think there was a glimmer there of knowing what even up to today looked like with offsite construction in Amherst. Obviously at the time,
that wasn't right.
It wasn't even a thought. We talked a little bit about that, just again, background. We knew kind of a path we needed to go down if we wanted to get to there in a couple of years, which again we ended up doing. Mm-hmm. It was just, it took a while. Like, I met with him a lot. He talks about that, it seems like, every chance he gets in front of the team. But it took a lot for me to, because it is, right? Like, you hear people say that, or even other people we talk to around the country, like, a lot of people want to do what we did.
Yeah. A
lot of people just can't afford to do that. So, it was a leap of faith.
I know, I heard this come up a few different times. I don't remember from who, but to me, it's almost like, and again, obviously being the outside of it, to me, it's like the money is one thing to go build a facility. Another way to go build a facility with full automation, but another thing to be like we experienced, right, which we can kind of just, I guess, go into about building that facility up in Wrightstown North, but then also the time to figure out, make sure everything's running so you get back up to where the capacity is where it was, but then also obviously going bigger than that, right? Because there's that time where you need to figure out that automation, right, where it's not just going to instantly come in the door and be, boom, we're going, right? So that's another phase, right, that I don't think is necessarily factored in, right, always?
Well, one of the conversations I had with Joel, even before he did this, I said, the facility that we were in, the old Truss Systems, we were about a 39,000 square foot facility. I say I ran 2 shifts. It wasn't really 2 shifts. It was maybe a shift and a half, and that second shift was, marginal at best. We just, that was probably on management, myself included. Just, it was tough. Those were some of the things. That was also one of the determining factors where I said, you know what? I had about 50 employees at the most. I said, that's one headache that I don't miss. But I told Joel, I said, the most you're going to get out of this plant is going to be probably $15 million. And there's variables with that based on material costs and things. I said, but, you're already purchasing, I think, probably $20 million from other manufacturers. I said, yeah, that's why you do need your own thing. I understand why you looking at us. I said, but we're still not going to be able to solve your capacity problem in this facility. And I think he knew that. And again, I think it was pretty good. What was I think the most at the end we did out of Little Chute was probably about maybe 18 million.
Yeah, it was just under 18, 17 something. Yeah, just under 18 million.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I mean, planning was a huge part, right? Like, we knew multiple conversations with the sales leaders across all locations, and again, high communication with the sales team, quarterbacks. I didn't want to go into this and have some sort of disruption where we're moving, right? Like, it's just not an excuse. That's that's a me problem. So we assembled a team. Even to go back to, like, how did we do what we did? Like, we assembled a team, called it Operation Janus. Pulled in random people, like he's talking about, guys in the line, guys on the stackers, some designers. I think even at the time, that's kind of the infancy of Amherst. We even pulled some of the Amherst team in, some people from outside, and just said, look, nobody in the company knows about this. We're going to expand. Didn't really know what that looked like. Had some third-party consulting come in and just kind of give us a perspective on where we stacked up in the state. And then what options are out there for the future in automation. And as that group made a decision, like, okay, we're going to go down the left path. And then at that point, we kind of took it from there and owned, more of the conversational pieces and quotes and what all that looked like. But then after that, once we knew what we were going to do and we had the timelines and put shovels in the ground, that's when I got with everybody in Little Chute and said, okay, this is tentative dates. We were, again, high communication with the team on what the strategic plan was to decommission Little Chute and open up Wrightstown. The one fortunate thing, because we did all this through COVID too,
right,
which was another whole nightmare. But some of it was a blessing because some stuff showed up early. Building was a little bit ahead. We actually had about 2.5 months of free training where we could, and that was about November, December of 22. Where we actually had the team over there doing things early, which also allowed us to pull some certain pieces of equipment out and get it over there quicker. That all happening, we actually were able to fire up the robotic lines over there about 2.5 months earlier than what we thought. So I had production already going in Wrightstown on a runoff test and actual work while I was starting to decommission Little Chute. All timelined out. We had some old equipment coming out, getting sandblasted, repainted, getting put back in. Just high detail, high communication with everybody that was involved. Did a lot of stuff on the weekends with the whole team, and it literally was seamless. Like,
there was not much disruption.
We did not have zero disruption on how we moved that whole facility. And honestly, if we wouldn't have talked about it, nobody would have even known that we moved from Little Chute to Wrightstown. So it worked out. But again, high planning, high communication. Everybody's got to be bought in. We brought the team together, talked about it. Everybody knew what the plan was. And again, it wasn't me, him doing a lot of it. Mike, Ron, Chris, and the maintenance guys. It literally was the whole team. We literally pulled everybody together, and everybody had a hand in that.
Is there anything you guys missed from the old place?
Roseville Bar is really close. I can go there for lunch.
They knew you by first name.
Now we got Lucky's across the street.
Well, yeah, that's right. It's okay.
I don't know if there's any. I mean, again, Little Chute was more just the nostalgia of a little truss plant, right? Like, you have kind of, what and how things used to be, and now we're in the Taj Mahal of a truss plant. So it's it feels a little bit different. It's bigger. It's more open. You can see everybody. But maybe it's just the nostalgia of what a little truss plant used to be.
Going back on that, decision, that was a for me personally, that was extremely tough. You could talk to Caitlin Stoll, and when Joel was in there, and we had to let the employees know what was going on. I mean, that was hard. I was in tears, going to ask my wife. But I had to sell to the people. I had to sell because some of the folks, you could talk to some of them in the field. They said, "Hey, this is going to be better for you." They were just, it made me feel good in a way that I guess they liked Truss Systems, or they liked, working for us, with us. I would say I was an employee, I wore different hats, but Again, it still took some convincing even after that's going to get better. Now, I'd like to go back to them right now and say, hey, did I not tell you this was going to be better for you? And
Here's
it
your
is.
chance, right? Yeah.
You're still here.
Yep.
And, overall, it's better. So that was part of that, when I say I believed in the synergy that this could really be a good thing. Looking back, it's obviously good for us personally, but I'm still here. And it's good for all the employees that are still with Drexel that were former Truss Systems. They're part of.
But it's
part of
real in that
something
moment,
special.
though, too, right? Where you got to make that decision. It's not easy. So
Yeah.
I guess, can you guys kind of talk about just like, whether it's capacity-wise of what we've been able to do since we made that move, or kind of like where the facility's at right now and what kind of, I guess, the future holds. Obviously, it's not that old, right? It's just a couple of years, but, just kind of what next steps are for us up in that area.
Yeah, current output, even compared to the Little Chute days, we've more than doubled capacity and output.
Nearly triple, really.
Close to
Close to
tripling. And when we sized that facility, we did it on kind of what our old, sales model used to be. Literally, we went through. So we started there end of 2022, fully had it up and running by March 1st of 2023. By the end of 2023, I already knew, based on some of the other changes that we made within the company and approach on sales, we were already at capacity. Even going through last year, it was full tilt. 2024 was really good data for us on what we can do output. We're running anywhere from 1.1 to 1.3, 1.4 million board feet out of that facility in a month. Which is about 15 to 18 rail cars a month of wood. Those of you that have been up there, obviously the south end of the building is a warehouse, about 25,000 square feet. I always tell people, whatever you see wood in there, it never goes to the floor, but that's literally about 2.5 weeks worth of material in there, which is a lot of wood. Output wise, we've more than done what we said we were going to do with that facility. Reality is, we got to talk about phase 2. We got the land up there to do it. It's just what does that mean? How do we do it? And that's just to get where we need to be on Drexel's trajectory on growth.
Sure.
And even going back to that transition, one of the things that we had to do is convince people as we walk down and start talking about the automation and robotic process and what that means. We weren't eliminating jobs, right? Like I didn't need people to know how to build a truss anymore. I needed to teach them how to run the machine that's going to build the truss. Right. We've actually almost more than doubled the staff at the facility. Obviously, it's a bigger facility, but we actually added people. I think Little Chute days we were around 70, 75. We're currently at like 150
Sure.
in Wrightstown.
And there's still a manual line in there too, right?
2 manual, 1.5 manual lines, and then we have a whole bay that's all of our existing traditional manual truss equipment, and then the other 2/3 of it is all the automated robotic.
Sure.
So from output standpoint, more than doubled, tripled, close to tripling what our output was out of the Little Chute.
That's crazy.
And we did in maybe 16, 18 month time span. So it was very.
Does it feel like yesterday in terms of moving, or not really? Because of so much has changed and getting the robot set and.
Yeah, we're in a really good spot. I think the one thing that, again, hated COVID, but the one good thing that came out of COVID for us is, and even we have both the robotic floor and roof line in the same facility. Nobody else in the country has that. So for the people that we bought that from, they like coming to our facility because they can do R&D and get true data on both facilities or both machines in one facility. So normally they're there for a month and a half, maybe 2 months is what their duration of time is to get the machines going. They were by us for almost 9 months at their expense. Because they were learning so much. We pretty much, if I go back and look from day one when we flipped those machines onto where we're at today programming wise, completely different. I think what Drexel had to offer, BJ Laus out on the West Coast does a lot of similar stuff to us. He's got a roof line. Our Drexel and BJ really threw the kitchen sink at this system and challenged a lot of things to be able to build more complex stuff.
Sure.
Which meant we had to literally rewrite the program.
Yep.
It's not exclusive to Drexel or exclusive to Laus. Everybody benefits from that, no different than the other people that have the systems when they make tweaks and things. we benefit from that too. But
Yeah.
a lot of the reprogramming and what was done to make these equipment way more efficient, a lot of it happened when those guys were up by us.
Sure. I guess a few questions just to finish up here. Just some oddball kind of questions. But when you were first grade, what did you want to be growing up?
God, I probably said like a cop or something. I don't know. And then a canned answer when you're in first grade. I don't even know.
I want to be a bread truck driver, so
A red truck driver?
I don't know why. It just looked like a sweet job.
I have no idea.
No ideas?
No way. I mean, I forgot shit already about like that. I no idea. Sorry. Yes.
I guess the other question is, what is the best underrated restaurant in the Green Bay area? And it doesn't have to be Green Bay. It could be Swamico, could be Howard, could be wherever. But what is the most underrated restaurant? If you're like, man, if I get a chance to go there tonight, I'm gonna go there. What is that place?
For lunch, Drift In on Ashland in Green Bay. They got the best.
Drift In?
That's not underrated.
It's not
If the
underrated,
people
but
that
I don't
know
know how
about it,
many-
that's a great call. I mean,
Off
you
the
could go
beaten path.
Kroll's Bar for a cheeseburger,
Yeah.
if you don't mind your
I
cholesterol.
think the cheeseburger chili
Yeah.
at the Drift In is, again, it's off the beaten path. Nobody, unless you're up there, you probably don't know about it.
Yeah,
I concur.
Drift In, really?
Yeah, Drift In.
5-star, okay.
Take it in.
Used to be Fires Grove, but that's no longer there. So I would go because all the contractors would hang out there at lunch.
Sure.
So in my stock lumber days, Fires Grove was the place to go because all the contractors
Connect with them
hung
and-
out there, and yeah, you would network and
Yep.
schmooze with them. So I hung out there quite a bit. It's no longer there. Shocker.
Yeah.
But
I guess last one, are you guys going to the draft or no?
I talked to my son about. He has. I don't know if they got the app. Debatable, but maybe it's a once in a lifetime type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Considering it.
Andy and Joel are out of it, and which is surprising me. I hate crowds, but I'm like, if I don't go for one day, like I feel like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could do more than one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would only be one day for me as well, just to say I did it and it was there. Might be
Yeah.
kind of cool. I'm not saying I'm doing it, but
right.
that's my vote right now.
Awesome. 126, guys. Thanks for joining. We're out.
All right. Thank you.